the chain. Everywhere I go, I keep saying the same old thing, and I can't take it no more. Well, I would leave this town, but I ain't got nowhere else to go now. Wake up in the morning, all that news and sometimes I feel like I was born to lose, and it's driving me out of my mind. Wanna catch the next train, and
Hi, Jay.
Hey, Bri.
I was 1 minute and 20 seconds.
That's not too bad. What's up, everyone?
But I got my beer.
It's not a summer Sunday.
I know Jameson had me on the clock, so hopefully I made it in time. He's still in the green room, so we should be good.
I'm sure he doesn't care.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a few cold ones in front of him as well. So what's going on, everybody? Man, we got some folks in the chat already. Charlie, what's up, Charlie P? I don't try to pronounce his last name because I would butcher it. Chris Funk is in the house. Richie Lockery. Gene the Queen Wilson. Gene said, "Hey, Jay and Brian."
Hey, Gene.
Right on. Well, we got Jameson Redding in the house this evening, guys. He's got some big news that just came out today. Going to talk about that and all kinds of good stuff. And we got an announcement at the end. Little paddle and fin meetup action in October. Mm-hmm. So we'll drop the details at the end here, man. Without further ado, let's bring in the man with the plan, Mr. Jameson Redding.
The plan, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I hope so.
It's a stretch. Yeah. Give me a minute. I'm working on it.
Yeah. All right, we'll throw you back in the green room. We'll be back.
Yeah. Right back after these messages.
Brought to you by Miller Lite.
Hey, if you guys are watching, this is a fine Pilsner. Just
sell it, bro. Sell it.
It's not working.
Yeah, well, it never has, but I keep trying.
Well, man, you had some news drop today. We'll get to that. But for those tuning in that may not know who Jameson Redding, the legend, the myth, the man, who he is, give us a brief background, my man.
I think the myth is probably the only accurate thing that you said, because I think I don't know where this all comes from, but yeah, it cracks me up every time I hear it. I'm like, people don't really know me that well, apparently, huh?
Like Jameson who?
Yeah, exactly. You guys are confusing me with the whiskey drink.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
or the popular, hotel chain. That could be it.
Yeah, there's a Jameson Steakhouse close by here too.
I've never tried that, but I bet I could cook a steak better than the Jameson Steakhouse.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. They got a brick and mortar shop. They might be pros at it. I don't know.
You guys see what's right there? Come on.
Yeah. Is that a Traeger?
That is a Traeger.
Nice.
And it's not just for looks. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted. Yeah, I don't know. So Jameson, who is he? Well, I'm a proud father of 2 beautiful kids. My wife is actually sitting just on the other side of the computer in the house. She just put them to bed, so lucky in that category as well. And at some point, I think probably most people just would really like to not hear what happened before fishing, right? Like, the kayak fishing thing is kind of, let's start the history there.
Sure.
But yeah, at some point I just decided that construction work wasn't as fun as kayak fishing, and I was spending most of my time looking for days off to hit the water and go be around people that were doing the same thing that I loved, and kind of fell in love with the community of kayak fishing, not just the actual sport of it. I mean, got into kayaks fish because I was trying to access water that I couldn't get to. So it was never necessarily because I wanted to be a kayaker. It just was a tool to get the job done. But once I got into the kayak community, I realized like, hey, these guys are all right. It's a different mindset. It's a different, and you guys know it. I mean, you're in the thick of it. Kayak fishermen they stick together, whether they, believe certain ways or on different political sides of the fence. It doesn't seem to matter. So kind of fell in love with it and just eventually figured out a way to slowly, make a living doing it. My wife would probably say that I spend more money to try to make this job work than I actually do make a living doing it. But I wouldn't trade it, man. So that's it, man. Just passionate about fishing, passionate about kayaks and kayak fishing and the community more than anything.
Nice. I love it, man. Yeah, I mean, your name has always been thrown around. I first heard it from Mr. Randall here. And, you're a man behind the camera as well. I always see your photos and video footage and stuff popping up all over the place, which is cool. We're in Kayak Angler magazine. But, you've been with Jackson Kayaks for a long time. You were part of their media house, and now you're stepping into a new role. Head of kayak fishing development. Is that correct?
We're calling it lead.
Okay.
And so basically what's going on there is, Jackson Kayak has grown super fast. And they're one of the only independent, there's a few great independent companies out there, but there's not a lot of independent companies in the game now that, they've become part of bigger brands and whatnot. And so what I'm getting at is you got a lot of paddlers and a lot of fishermen that are trying to figure out how to deal with the growth and the business aspect that is Jackson. And, over the years, when say the Coosa first came out, which I've, literally been into Jackson since then. I pre-ordered one when I saw they were coming out with it because it was a riverboat. It was smaller and easy to nail a target because it was like there wasn't anything else, right? Like that was one of the first like specific boats for a specific type of fishing and whatnot. And so throughout the history of Jackson, I think that the growth and just like, trying to stay ahead and stay innovative has, been a struggle. And basically somewhere along the way, the team has grown, the demand for boats has changed and become different. And so this position is no more than just to take the voice from the team and listen to the dealers and listen to the consumers and see what the consumers are already doing with their product and what they want. And then just channel that through me to the R&D team. So it's, I don't know. I fish a lot of different types of fishing, areas, types of fish, everything like that. But I'm not the expert in any of those categories. So we have team members. We have 150 plus team members that are the experts in these different categories. So, their voice just needs that way to get in and to be a part of that development process. So that's my position, man, is just to be the voice of the team and try to help lead it in the right direction as we make decisions on what boats and what things need to change on things that we already have out and how we can improve on things that we have out and what that next big step is for Jackson Kayak as far as the fishing goes. So that's kind of it.
Right on, man. Well, real quick, speaking of Jackson team member Steve Carroll says, hello from the delivery room. Did they have the baby, Jay? Do you know?
They're in the delivery room, so I don't know if they're doing it yet, but
if they haven't,
sounds like it's happening.
I feel like maybe you should not be on your phone, Steve. Like, I mean, I get it. I understand where you're coming from because I've been to the delivery room a couple times and anything to take your mind off of it. But someone there might not like the fact that you're hanging out with us right now.
But he's saying Ashley said hi.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's not hi. That's die.
Yeah.
It's a D. It rhymes with hi. But
yeah. Steve says, oh, it's hilarious.
Either way, congrats, Steve and Ashley, on the new baby. If it's a boy, in honor of this podcast, just name it Jameson. There you go.
There you go.
They're such great people, man. When Jay and I were out there, I mean, it was actually, I don't remember if it was actually my birthday. Was it actually my birthday, or had it just happened or something? Anyway, I think it may have been my birthday, but I came and she had made a cake that looked like the happy face, like the Jackson happy face.
Oh,
like,
that's
holy
cool.
crap.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
I never met them. I mean, I never had been in their house or anything before. So
Yeah.
no, they let me park the motorhome in their front yard and still power for a few days.
Nice.
While we traced the elusive giant sturgeon.
Yeah. Yeah.
How'd that go? I heard Jay.
Somebody got their redemption. I, however, have a lot of really cool rigging footage.
Yeah.
Beautiful sunsets. It's just amazing.
I mean, we had a great time that, man. It was.
Yeah. Well, and that speaks to the community right there. I'm traveling across country in a motorhome with kids, and I pull into somebody's house I've never been to, plug into their outlet, still power, and they make me a birthday cake. Like, it does not get any. We have literally, in my opinion, Jackson Kayak, and I think the community in general in kayak fishing, but Jackson Kayak has one of the best teams in the business. We've got some of the greatest people, but just from Gene and Chris that I see are watching, there's a bunch of them watching, like, that's salt of the earth right there. Just open arms and just let you, come hang out, still power, eat your food. And then just, bye.
Yeah.
So
no,
anytime you want to steal my power, come on over.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, man. I mean, I know I've had numerous invites, anytime I was traveling anywhere to a tournament or, hey, man, we're camping here. Why don't you come stay here? Things like that, man. I mean, I think that that definitely speaks for itself. For sure, man.
I see a question over here. I'm like monitoring the questions as well.
Aaron's question here.
Yeah. I didn't know if I should touch on that.
Yeah. Why don't you? I didn't know if you'd want to, but is anything going to change with the Jackson brand? I see Eric Jackson is focused with the Apex watercraft. Yeah.
So Eric has, went and he started Apex, and it's kind of a tier above like anything else as far as, fully carbon, lightweight. Price point is just, the thing looks sick. But as far as what's changing with Jackson, I mean, I would say things are changing, but if anything, I would say it's almost getting back to the roots of what makes Jackson so great, and just taking a step back. And over the past few years, we've come out with a ton of boats. And I think right now what our goal is, and COVID had a little bit to do with this, but it's also been a good I guess you'd say a good exercise for us internally as a brand. We want to make sure that when we come out with a new product from here on out, that it is literally the best product that we could possibly come out with. And we want to believe that it's the best product on the market. And there's a lot of great stuff out there. And I'm not saying that we're going to be better than anyone or any specific boat, but we all want to be super proud of what we're coming out with, and we want to all work together to come up with what we're going to come out with, so that, we all have a little, dog in the fight, if you will. And we can be proud of it as a brand. And so when you look at what we're going to change, I wouldn't say that anything's necessarily changing, other than, we're just we are making sure that the right processes are done to get us to that next level, and to continue to come out with great product and great, paddling boats and pedal drive boats, whatever it may be. Whatever product we launch, we want to really be able to say this is the most badass thing out there right now. So no changes really. Just I would expect you to see it more outwardly show what kind of a family we really are. And when I say family, we still got a lot of the Jackson family, Dane and Emily, and then, and Nick is there as well. The hardcore whitewater people are there, and they just launched the Antics 2.0, and it's just done great. And that was a perfect example of what can happen when the team comes together and works on a boat, and they're all proud of it and out there pushing it. And that's, the direction that fishing is heading as well.
I like it, man. I like it. I will say this. Jay can elaborate if he wants. The Jackson Liska is great for whitewater as well.
I mean,
was it great, or did you just survive? Because it sounds like you just survived.
No, So when I was in Tennessee, I went down those rapids. I think Dustin went down them too, because I went down. I went down because Dustin did.
You got it. Which rapids are we talking about here? You got
the
to
ones. So yeah, what is that? Where's that place where we all gather? Like over
Rock Island.
Yeah, so right off to the right.
Yeah.
Like all those over there.
So like you paddle up the flat water and then you got the little waterfalls or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've gone down that one. It's been kind of rough, but as of recently, like I realized that the Liska doesn't handle too good in like rough water. Like I didn't get wet or nothing, but I kind of bailed. I was like, I'm out.
Well, I think that's a good decision most times. You try to ride it out and you end up with a kayak on top of you.
Well, yeah, and the thing was, I was totally fully committed, but I got like hung up on rocks, and then I had more time to think. And Brian's about ready to kind of fess up to something in a second.
I don't know what you're talking about, dude.
But I saw him have some issues, let's just say, and I started like the wheels started turning, like going. We probably shouldn't have dropped in at this whitewater park. That was stupid. Like, why do we do this?
Were there fish there?
Well, there's fish below it, and that's what we were going to. But then
I got you. Okay.
Yeah, but I was like, how wet do we want to get? Like, because the first drop I went in, I was already wet. I was like, all right, this is awesome. I took on water. I was like, all right, let's just keep going.
What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, Brian, what's the worst that could happen?
You could go for a swim, lose your sandals, and then drive home an hour and a half barefoot.
Yeah.
I feel like that's still not the worst that could happen.
It's not the worst.
Not the worst, but
Brian got really
still sucks.
Feet, so.
he got really lucky, dude. I turned around. I just heard a noise, and all of a sudden I see Brian like up to his neck, like almost in water. And I'm like, oh. I was like, so this isn't going so well so far.
I think that happens, I mean, I can't tell you the number of times that I've been in a situation where I'm like, I probably shouldn't have just stayed out here or been here. Like we were down in Panama. Chris was there, and it was great watching. It was great watching Chris because he'd never really been, beyond the breakers in that scenario. Which it's not the break. Like the launch is not bad there. It's that you get out there and all of a sudden you get these big swells that just break wherever they want to break sometimes, and you're just like, that makes no sense. Why are you breaking out here? And we were out there, and everyone's just kind of looking at each other like, well, no one else is freaking out, so I got to keep it together. Actually, all of us were freaking out, and all of us were just looking at each other, like waiting for someone else to give us the like, okay to be scared look. and so after the fact, we're like, maybe we should not been out there during that particular like point in time. But I will say no one flipped. Everyone handled it well. I was in the high position in the Coosa FD, which looking back, I'm like, I don't know how I stayed in that boat in the high, which is a testament to what that boat can actually handle. And it could have something to do with that dagger board or something. I don't know. But yeah, it was an interesting time for sure. But I think we all have those moments where like, yeah, this was a bad idea. Goodness.
Gene Wilson asks, what is scarier, Beyond the Breakers or whitewater?
I think they both, for me, and you guys can answer this as well, but for me, they both can go sideways real quick. And I don't know I guess the scary thing about being Beyond the Breakers is that, if you're not out there with people around you and whatnot, like how do you, it's not like you're going to just get washed out or whatever at the bottom of the rapid. And I haven't really been in a super hairy whitewater situation where I didn't have people around me that knew what they were doing. And I really haven't been offshore that much without having people around me that knew what they were doing. And that's a comfort, but you feel a little bit more alone, I feel like, in the big water though, to be honest.
I can get that. Well, man, so now that you're taking on this new role, are you still going to be part of the media side of things?
No, yeah, absolutely. In fact, this year, and again, everything's kind of changed with the way COVID's affected travel and just being able to hang out with a bunch of cool people. We were talking about this before you guys went live, that, we wanted to have a kind of a big Jackson team hangout summit, whatever you want to call it. And we kind of put that on hold because, we don't want to have 150 people show up and something, go sideways or somebody gets sick or whatever. And so this year, before all this happened, the plan was to really travel the country here, and try to visit as many team members in as many different waterways as possible, get dealers involved. And we really wanted to focus on the continental U.S. I know we do a lot of trips, and the reason we do is a lot of people are very kind to us and offer us trips in exchange for media. So sometimes it's cheaper for us to go to these awesome locations, which sounds crazy, than it is for us just to drive halfway across the country. But yeah, the focus this year and the plan this year was to get as many team members involved, show what our team's all about, show what the people are about, what they're doing, what their waterways have to offer, what their local dealers look like. And so that is the plan going forward once we feel really confident that we can, get back on the road and get back to visiting, the community like we were talking about earlier.
Right on, man. Right on. I mean,
Jason says he wants to come snuggle.
Who said that?
Jason Ricketts.
Oh, he's probably talking about your beard, man.
Yeah,
Can we
well,
block him?
You got to be careful because it's like Velcro. You can get stuck in there.
I've had friends.
Aaron Arvelio is asking again, or with another question: how many Jackson Kayak Fishing Pro staff is there?
At one point, and I don't know the exact number, and I really should. But at one point, we had over 200, counting our European team, and we had team members in Australia, and still do. And so, we're somewhere between, I think, in the 150 plus range, for sure right now. I don't have the exact number for you. It's a lot. I used to know everybody by name, and that's sad. And now it's like I want to know everybody, but it's a lot of people, and it's just, it's amazing the people that we have, because they're just like everyone. I haven't met a bad team member yet.
Right on. Yeah, man, I can attest to that. I never met anybody that was bad or had a salty attitude or anything like that, man. It was just always everybody looking out for everybody and trying to help each other, man.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man.
It, like you said, man, it's a family, not a team. So
yeah, for sure.
I love that.
So, Jameson,
I feel like something's coming.
No, you're good. Get prepared. So, a lot of people don't know too that like you're also involved in other things other than kayak, like with skiffs and other things of that. You want to go into some of that too?
Yeah, for sure. Again, my whole thing is this: I love being involved in anything fishing, anything outdoors. It's just a passion of mine to travel and meet people, and I've got ideas, and I work with Salt Marsh and Ancona skiffs, and they make some just bomber skiffs that are awesome for really what we do with the kayaks when it comes to like red fishing and inshore fishing. You can get in skinny water, you can get in places quiet, and you can get into places that you couldn't get a big boat, or you'd spook the fish. And it's kind of I don't want to say the transition from kayaks, but it's like if you want to cover a little bit more water but still have a lot of the advantages that you have from a kayak, the micro skiff and the technical poling skiff world is got a lot of things going on. So it's just cool to me to be a part of that. And I run a couple of boats that are like 14 feet long, and
nice.
I'm always like tinkering with them and outfitting them and rigging them. And I recently was working with Boondock some to come out with a like kind of a grab bar center console that you could have all your rigging. A lot of that's from the kayak world, kind of bringing that over. How can we rig this thing quickly, easily, but be able to remove everything, right? So it's a little console. You got your battery in it. I threw a Dakota Lithium in there. It's powered with yak power, just like I've got on the Blue Sky. And then you pull 2 pins. You can pull the whole thing with your depth finder, your batteries, all your electronics just come right out of the skiff. And, you can walk in the house with it and not worry about someone stealing it. And it's just doing cool things like that, coming up with ways to marry things that you learn along the way from different aspects of whether it's, filming with people in the outdoor industry and learning from different producers, or working with kayak people and then kind of taking that over to the skiff world, or bringing something maybe from the skiff world to the kayak world, and just realizing that, no one really talks sometimes in the different elements or whatever of the industry. And it's like, once you can kind of like bridge some of those gaps, you can come up with some cool stuff.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, that all that stuff kind of relates to each other.
For sure.
Like I thought it was genius. I think it was last year, the year before, Yak Attack came out with like the rod holder system for small John boats and things like that, man. And it was why they weren't in that game from the get-go. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it is just the thing. It's a different audience, and that audience is starting to cross over quite a bit with the growth of kayak fishing. And I mean, you guys probably remember this too, but we used to walk ICAST, 6-7 years ago, and nothing was kayak fishing. Like, there was a couple of kayak brands there, but there was no marketing materials, no photographs, no. You'd walk into a booth and try to have a conversation with, trying to pick up a sponsor, or, get on staff with somebody, and they were just like, yeah, we don't, what this kayak thing is. And you walk a show like that today, and I mean, you can't look without seeing pictures of people kayaking, products for kayak fishermen. Just all the big brands are embracing that this is a real deal sport. So with those eyes being brought to the sport, you are starting to see that crossover audience where people that are in John boats are familiar with what the kayak guys are doing, and vice versa. But it takes time because it is different. It is a different audience. And so even though the product works great over here, it's just they don't know about it. And, you got to figure out how do you target those people and get them aware that product exists and would work for what they're doing. As there's a misconception that kayak guys are, they're not fishing hardcore. They're not, from that angle. A lot of them, they don't realize the type of fish that we're chasing. I mean,
right.
You got people like Jim running around, caught 40 something marlin from his kayak. You've got people targeting giant tarpon. You've got, I mean, it's just unbelievable what you can accomplish in a small plastic boat. And I think people are starting to really see that now. And that's where you're seeing those products start to cross over.
I mean, how cool is that? I know you're like an OG, man. You've been in the game for a long time. To see that transformation go from like nothing kayak related to, I think last year's show was like half kayak stuff from what I understood.
Oh yeah, it was huge for sure. I mean, it's been interesting because you feel like it's going that way, and I feel like when I came into it, it was kind of booming, right? Like, that's what brought me to the sport. Is I'm sitting here watching, Jim Salmon's in the kayak fishing show. I'm like DVRing that thing, and I'm like, holy crap, look what he's doing from this plastic boat. And I just want to go on the river. This will definitely work for that if he can do what he's doing. And his show. I'm trying to think. I know I saw some of his videos that were being put out, and then Chad was starting to, kind of make a name for himself when I kind of started fishing from a kayak as well. And then Drew as well, seeing what he was doing in the rivers. And that's kind of what spoke to me too, was because around here where I live in North Carolina, it's river fishing. And that's what kind of ultimately led me and a couple of buddies to buying kayaks, was how do we access that water? Now, this was before the Coosa had came out. And before it was even being developed when we first got into it. But you start kind of researching, like, how do you do this? And you start to see these guys that are kind of leading the way. And some of them, like Jim, has been doing this forever before, there was kayaks even remotely designed to fish off of. I mean, he's doing it off his surfboard out in California. And you got people that have been doing that, for years. And it's just like, it took it that long to get to the point where it was, when I got into it, where you were starting to see some rod holders and stuff like get put on kayaks, and some of the brands are starting to have tracks and look at high-low options for seating and being able to stand and that kind of thing. And then, fast forward to today, and it's like the options are just limitless for,
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't find a kayak to fish out of right now, then you just don't need to be, you should probably just stay home. Like there's so many great options, and there's so many brands that are just doing a good job of offering, something for everyone. And it is crazy to see how it's blown up, and it's crazy to see how brands outside of paddle sports have embraced it as well. And brands like brands that are in paddle sports, like NRS, I see that they're watching, and Bending Branches is another good example that have embraced the fishermen. You got brands that have been in paddle sports and water sports for a long time, but for one of those brands to think outside the box and go, hey, this kayak fishing thing is something that we should, pay attention to. And what do they need from us? What can we do to a paddle to make it more friendly to a fisherman? And it may sound simple and silly to do a couple little things, but it's not just about what they did to help the angler. It's the fact that they're going, hey, we were trying. We want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
And NRS has done a great job. I mean, obviously I'm with NRS, but I'm with NRS because of how impressed I've been about over the years of how they've just constantly, every year after year, really listened to the kayak fishing community and try to come out with product that bridges that gap between the angler and the paddler. And so it's cool to see, man. It really is. The days of having to rig stuff out of PVC in your garage, unless you just enjoy that kind of thing, are kind of gone. Yak Attack and has nailed all the accessories. You've got brands like Ray Marine that are making product, Power Pole. I mean, all these huge brands that are just making it easier for us to do this, and it's awesome.
No doubt, man. I mean, with the trends going the way they are, and I guess this is kind of twofold because it's, I guess, more geared towards the tournament angler. Like, you had to paddle, then you went to pedals. Now it's motors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are your thoughts on that, man?
For me, again, it all came down to there's like I don't know if you guys heard that. There's like 18-wheeler that's hit his Jake brake. That is not me. That is somewhere else.
You hungry, bro? You hungry?
Yeah. Chris Funk is really excited about the pygmy sunfish, by the way. He's made 6 comments about it, so I felt like we should address it at some point. But for me, getting into kayak fishing in the beginning was all about what was the best tool to get me to where I needed to go to catch the fish that I wanted to catch. Again, it was never like, I want to find the hardest way or the most pure way to go fishing. It was about, this is the right tool. It's going to allow me to access water that I couldn't get to because we were waiting, and you had people on land on each side of the river, right? So it's like you're looking on Google Earth and you're like, there's shoals right here that would hold smallmouth. How am I going to get there? Do we get a canoe? Well, that semi works until it fills with water and you sink it trying to run some small rapids, and ultimately it led us to the kayak. So I think for me, it's not, I don't have really an opinion on what people do with their boats. If they're having fun and they're using it to get out there and catch fish, it's kind of like if, that's you, then do you, like if that's fun. And I think Luther from Yak Attack actually said one time, don't tell me how to have fun. And it's always stuck with me. And I've quoted him 100 times.
Sure.
So thanks for that, Luther. But it is true. I mean, it's like, if that's you having fun, if that's how you get out there to enjoy it, it's kind of the same as if you got the hardcore bow hunter or the hardcore fly angler that's like, I'd never throw a spinning rod or I'd never use a gun. But that's because that's what you want to do. It doesn't mean that that's what everyone's capable of or wants to do. If, putting a motor on the back of your boat, I've got, skips with, gas-powered motors on them. So if it gets me to the fish, man, I'm all about it. As far as the tournament thing goes, I think it's just kind of up to, whatever the demand is. Obviously, you've got a couple of great options now in the bass world. You've got the Hobie series that is, man-powered only.
Mm-hmm.
And there's debates that have happened over the years. I used to fish the IFA, and there was always a debate. Well, I mean, if you're using pedals, that's not really a kayak.
Yeah.
But again, it's like I knew that going in that pedals were allowed. It's a Hobie sponsored IFA thing. I chose to paddle, but I never looked at it like, well, we should all have to paddle. If I wanted to do that, I'll just make a tournament where you can only use the paddle, and then people that want to do that can join that tournament. But if you're okay, if you want to be a part of that tournament and they say it's okay to use a motor, then that's your choice. You got to go, hey, I'm going to use one because I feel like it's a competitive advantage. If you don't think it's a competitive advantage, then just paddle or do whatever, So that's kind of my stance on it, is like whatever. I mean, I just think it's cool to see what people do with their boats, and if they're out there having a good time, then I'm not judging. Like, you're not we're not purists anyway. We're all using rotomolded boats. There was no rotom on it. Like, go carve one out of a tree and go paddle it if you're that much of a purist, and do it with a cane pole or whatever. Like, stab a fish with a stick or something. But
I love it, man. I love it. Go ahead, Jay.
Now, I was going to say, like, me and you have talked before. I think out of anybody I've spoken with about motors, you probably have the most experience with all types of motors for the most part on all different kinds of stuff. Wouldn't you agree?
I mean,
the testing aspect.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like to play, right? So, like, my first kayak, I put it was a Wilderness Systems Commander 120, and we had some tarpons too. And on the Commander, I kind of did the whole, like, chop the motor guide, or I think it was a Minn Kota, chop the shaft, put it on the back. I've got a hook steering up, very much like what the Torqeedo is, as far as like how it's steered and everything. And just kind of piecemealed it together and made it work, and came up with ways to.
They're coming to get you, bro.
Yeah, yep. Thing. You would think I live like in a big city, but I'm like in the middle of nowhere. The interstate's just like super loud tonight. I don't know.
I think you gotta move, dude.
Yeah, it's like several miles from here.
Sounds like trouble.
It's terrible. Yeah, it's the world we live in today, I guess. But anyway. Yeah, I mean, I've always tinkered, you know what I mean? And I rigged that boat out. I had 2 deep cycle batteries in. The thing's set like that far from like literally just taking on water. And you get all that done and you're like, I don't even know how I'm going to get this on the truck. It takes you like an hour to set it up and rig it. And so you kind of like devolve very quickly to just like, give me the Kusa and a paddle and I'm good to go, and then you realize, okay, well, that's great for rivers, but what about my inshore stuff? And so then like, I got the chance to work with Torqeedo, and I'm like, holy crap, this is awesome. You just put the throttle down and we're gone, and all your buddies are like, oh, I would never do that. Next thing you know, you're towing 4 or 5 guys behind you that would never do that. Yeah, it's a thing. It's like, oh, really? Yeah.
I've towed somebody once.
Yeah, why don't you sit back here and chill while we go to the spot, right? Yeah. So it's always fun to do that. But and then with Blue Sky, it's been a lot of fun too, because I think from the start, we all looked at that thing and we're like, oh, can I put a motor on it? Like,
yeah.
How big can I go? And Tohatsu actually was nice enough to send me, they had a propane 5 horsepower coming out, which is actually their 6 horsepower gas motor that they converted to propane. And that's too much power for the Blue Sky, just in case anyone's out there thinking about putting a 5 horsepower on the back.
Getting on plane?
No, that's the problem, right? The holes are not planing holes; they're designed to pedal. And, so what happens ultimately is you just kind of dig like a hole, and then the boat goes into that space that's underneath the boat, and then water's just like coming up from everywhere. But that being said, you throw the 1,000 watt or the 1103 Torqeedo on there, the 3 horsepower equivalent, or like I've seen guys with like a 2.5 horse gas motor. And the thing scoots along like really nice. And then I've been playing too with the motor guide on the front, and that's a little bass buggy, man. Like to be able to sit there and spot like that dude and just move around. And then on my skiffs, I've got a 20 on one, a 15 on another. I've got a boat on order right now that'll have a 90 on it, so that'll be like my progression. And I've had boats in the past. I used to live in Florida and had center consoles with old Smokey Johnson motors on the back of them and stuff. So,
nice.
I like things that that go, and I think speed is relative to the vessel. So you'll see me with a big smile if I could get my blue sky up to 10 miles an hour, where, I'm pushing for 30 in my 14-foot skiff. I'm like, how do I get, I'm at 28. I'm like, I got to find 2 more miles per hour. I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, so I do like to play with them.
How fast have you gotten the BSB up to so far?
Well, the day we put the 5 horsepower, we did see it break like 12, but that was the point of like, it's sinking. Like at this
sounds
point, like
scary.
we just not like, we don't want to show anyone this. I have video of it, but I'm like, this is not recommended.
You can show me. I'm interested.
Yeah, but that what it told me is that the evolution of that product. One day I would like to see, and I saw in the comments because I keep glancing over, and somebody asked me when this Jackson skiff was coming out. And that's what I see the blue sky like evolving into eventually, is just a small little skiff, little bass boat or whatever, little, solo platform that's super stable. So hopefully we'll get there one day with that product as well. And because that's what people are doing to it, man. They're putting motors on the back, trolling motors on the front. You guys have seen the owners groups and whatnot. And, I want to see that product evolve. I think it's got legs for sure.
Yeah, dude, it cruises, man. I mean, I know there was times where I'd be in the BSB pedaling next to Jay in the big rig HDFD, and it was like we were neck and neck the whole time. And
yeah,
a lot of people are like, man, that thing moves pretty quick for how big it is. And I'm like,
it does. And that's the cat hole, man. You got a lot less resistance, a lot less surface area on the water. So, and originally if you saw the very first design for that boat, the idea was for it to be more of a wreck platform, that would have some speed to it.
Sure.
Of course, they made the mistake of showing it to a bunch of fishermen. They were like, "Whoa, I want to stand there. I want to do this, and we got to put 2 power poles on it because one's not enough." And so, yeah, it evolved to where it's at, and I think that it's still got a lot of room to be tinkered with and improved in every aspect, really, for sure.
No doubt. It's a fun little boat, man. Dude, I miss being in that thing. I let my old man take it out this past weekend, and he had a good old time. And my old man's a big dude. He's probably about the same height as me, 6'4", but he's probably got me by about 100 pounds. And dude, he just loves running around in that thing.
I think the
60-some years old.
The cool thing about it is there's a lot of people out there that like the idea of kayak fishing, but just can't quite do it. And it sounds crazy because there's a lot of boats out there like the Big Rig, and I mean, New Canoe's got some super stable boats. Bonafide, everybody's got a super stable boat, right? But there's still just that, like, I can't do it in a kayak. But people can step onto that platform and they're like, holy crap, this is a dock. I'm standing on the dock right now.
No doubt, man. No doubt. I mean, Jay and I could attest to this, just being at the fishing shows and stuff, dude, and having that BSB on the showroom floor. It's like a lot of old guys stop and they're like, I could do that. Yeah. That over there, I could never get out of the seat after an hour, but this thing, I could do that, Yeah. And I think that's cool, man, because that's bringing a lot of people that wouldn't necessarily getting into the quote unquote kayak fishing deal, just because of, physical aspects, getting older, aging, whatever it may be. But that type of stuff, man, they could do it no problem. And it's great to see that option for those folks. You know what I mean?
It's been really neat to see how people have taken what we've offered and just made it their own, and I think that's what, like, when I say evolve, I mean, and part of my role, I mean, is to see what people are doing with our products and go, hey, why not give them something that is made to do what they're already trying to do with it in the first place? And then, building the right team around whatever that product may be, as far as taking people from our in-house team. Like I said, we've got close to 200 team members. And it's like, out of those guys we've got and gals, we've got some of the greatest, people for whatever element that is. So we build little teams around those projects that fit that project, and we just keep bouncing it back and forth until we're like, this is it, like we got it. And then we test the crap out of it, and then we bring it to market. So you won't see us coming out with as much as we have in the past, as far as, every year it's like, oh, they've got 2-3 new boats come out. That's probably not going to happen for a while, to be honest, because I think we really want to concentrate on nailing it. Like, and whatever we do, we want to do it the best that we can possibly do it. And also make sure that everything, all the elements that go into that product are nailed as well. So it's not like we're dropping the ball on any part of it. Like, even if we nail the boat, but let's say, we need to tweak the drive or something to work better, then we got to make sure that all those things are, where they need to be to go with that product launch. And so kind of to come full circle back to it, but that's what it's about, man. It's like listening to what people want and what they're doing with the product, and then finding the right people to be able to get those answers for them and come out with it.
I'm going to give you one suggestion, bro. Fix the rear tank wells. Bigger. Need to fit a black pack.
Yeah. Well,
Just
and it's
saying.
a debate. It's like people want to be able to access the rear hatch, and then if you look at a lot of boats, they have bigger tank wells and don't have access. But yeah, no, I agree. It is frustrating when you're like, which side do I put the rod holders on? And I got to figure this out and put it in there.
The first piece of advice is free. After that, I'm going to have to start charging you.
Yeah.
Well, I charge by the minute for interviews. So.
Oh, well, in that case, thanks for talking. We all got to
go.
No, that's the thing, man. It's like just being able to sit down with the design and have several people's eyes on it, because that's something that might get missed if you are designing something in a bubble. And
Sure.
I feel like we have one of the best R&D teams out there. These guys are great, but if they're not getting the feedback that they need for whatever reason, if they're not hearing it, then they don't know. And so they execute what they think is what they're supposed, what should come out.
Sure.
And we've got guys like Brad Sisko and Tony Lee and Nick in there. And I wish I knew his real name, but we all call him Goat, and I feel really bad about that. So Goat, if you're watching, Charlie probably knows, because Charlie's watching. I have only ever referred to him as Goat, and he's only been called Goat to me. So I don't know your real name, Goat.
How many years has it been?
Jackson family, bro.
It's been the whole time I've been there. There's Goat. There's Tony, Goat, Brad. Nick.
This is our brother Goat.
And these are the guys. These are the guys. But yeah.
There's always one guy in a shop that's got a weird. There's always one guy in the shop.
Charlie, Jonathan
Glover.
I knew that. I was testing Charlie. Good job, Charlie. You did a great job figuring out what Goat's name was. But my point is, these guys are awesome, and they can take what they're given and really, execute that well. So it's our job as the team, and my job as the lead for this development thing, to take that message and make sure that they're getting that message, so that they can execute what's out there. So
that's cool, man. I dig it.
Thanks, Charlie.
Charlie saved the day.
Charlie's a good dude.
Look at Vincent joining us late.
Vincent, you got all these fanboys.
Yeah, dude.
He said Jay. He said, "What's up, Jay?"
Hey, man, I told you were a legend at the beginning of this.
You talking to Jay?
No, you. The myth behind the legend.
Definitely not me.
Yeah, these are all just people I've hung out with. That's the secret to my success. Is I drive around the country and I crash people's houses, steal their power and their booze, and then leave. And somehow they're like, "That's a cool dude." I don't know how that works.
I want the same gig that you got. Just saying.
Like I said,
you have figured it out in life.
It usually ends up costing more than you want my credit card bill to go with it? Like,
nah, man.
Like Charlie said, just don't give him the truck keys.
Hey, Charlie's the one that I don't know why he's saying don't give me the keys. He's the one that got the Jackson kayak truck stolen.
I think that's what he was referring to. Don't give him the keys.
Yeah, don't give Charlie the keys. Oh, he says me. I see it now. Yeah, don't give me the truck keys. Got it.
We got a question from Aaron in the chat. Will there be any updates, modifications to the Flex Drive?
Yes. So constantly, looking at how to improve upon every aspect of what we're doing. So do I have, a hard, like, yes, this is changing on the flex drive or this isn't. But there's constantly, feedback from the team and inline changes to just make it improvements. And so I would imagine that you will continuously see us try to improve upon that design and, get to where, it is flawless. That's our ultimate goal. And I mean, it's mechanical, and we make plastic boats, and anything mechanical is prone to fail at some point. But we look at every failure, and that's Charlie, who's on here, is a huge part of that, working with the warranty stuff. And, it's not something that, like, when those come back, that feedback is what goes into how we improve upon our product. And we really utilize that feedback to figure out, because like I said, we're all users of this stuff, and we want to come out with the best thing out there and something that we're all proud of and that we can use every day and be happy with. So, to answer the question is, I think it'll constantly be
an evolution,
evolving.
Yeah.
But is there like changes on the list right now? I couldn't probably say.
Right on. This was a question from the Queen herself, Mrs. Jean Wilson.
You like that name, Jean? Because it fits.
I mean, dude, the Queen of Monster Bass.
Yeah, no, I mean, she's just awesome, period. Like, you guys know. I mean,
totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Will there be more Tech Talking Tuesday episodes on the Jackson Kayak Facebook page?
I would love to do that. I'll tell you what's weird, and you wouldn't think this would be that hard. It is, and you guys might run into this. I'm sure you do, actually. I can't find people that just want to ramble on about stuff. I need more people willing to get on there and talk about random tips. And I struggled there for a bit to fill the slots. And I mean, it was during the middle of COVID when we were doing it. But yes, we have talked about bringing it back. I want to bring it back. I want to also record it so that we can have a podcast, because I think it's great to hear tips from different people in the industry, and also, when it comes to baits and rigging and rods and stuff that might not be necessarily kayakers, but if there's a guy out there that's like the guy, I know, like I had some of the people from Z-Man on talking about chatterbaits. Well, I learned a lot, because even though I throw chatterbaits, I just go to the one I've always went to. So yeah, I would love to bring it back. I need like help with lining up guests. That's where my brick wall was. And I probably just didn't, I probably just wasn't good at it.
You need an intern? Brian wants to be an intern.
Bro, just call me. I'll set you up.
Yeah, just line them up. We'll knock them down, man. Because I think it's great to hear, and I want to include as many of the Jackson team guys as possible. But also, if there's someone in the industry that is like the guy for that tip,
sure.
Like, I think it's important to get that out there and learn. I mean, that's how I learned to be a videographer. That's how I learned to take pictures. And I'm not great at it, but everything I learned was through watching videos and talking to people and asking questions and I've been fortunate to work with a lot of great people. But I learned, like, all of us go, to the web or to someone that we feel like is an authority on that subject to get information, to learn new things. And so to bring those people and have that, I think it would be awesome.
So did you just say you're not good at photography?
I mean,
dude,
I don't want to be conceited. I'm trying to be humble here. Give me like 2 more beers and I'll tell you how awesome I am.
How many Kayak Angler magazine covers have you had?
I actually have never had a cover of Kayak Angler magazine.
Wait a minute. What?
And I've been on the cover thanks to Chris Funk, but I have never gotten a cover shot. And that it was a goal of mine for a while. And I had this whole thing of cover shots. And every time I would send one in, there would be something where it was like, if the fish was over here just slightly, I'm like, all right. I've had photos in Kayak Angler magazine. I just haven't had a cover shot.
I'm canceling my subscription right now, bro.
Yeah, they're junk. Actually, don't do that. Chris has a lot of awesome photos in there.
Yeah, Funk takes a lot of great.
Now, I will say this: a lot of my photos have been used in marketing, content and magazines and shows and stuff like that. And it's always awesome to see your work when you walk in like iCast and you're like, hey, I took that photo and I took that photo and that catalog photo's mine. And so it does make you feel like, hey, you know, I do know kind of what I'm doing.
I like it. I like it. We'll keep them around for now.
It's kind of you take a lot of photos and you try to be in the right locations, and then usually you just come back with like one really good one, and you're like here's 500, but there's 4 in there.
4 in there.
Awesome.
They're awesome. Yeah. Yeah. That's usually how it goes.
Yeah.
Suggestion for your Tackle Talk Tuesday. I think Chris Funk needs an episode on pygmy sunfish.
I honestly think Chris Funk should be the guest host for pygmy sunfish because
I think so too.
I mean, he'd know that.
There's definitely no one in this chat that knows more or is more excited about pygmy sunfish than Chris Funk.
Yeah, it's like I almost want to ask about it, but
I don't even know what it is.
If we ever design a fishing kayak dedicated to pygmy sunfish, it is 100% going to be the Chris Funk signature series pygmy sunfish kayak.
I picture it like a 10-foot sun dolphin with a bluegill painted on the side.
It's actually going to have, like, you know how the FD has the little like hole in the middle where it folds up. You just open that and fish through it like with a really short ice fishing rod right over the bed.
Yeah.
I imagine pygmy sunfish have beds. So that's it, Chris. We're going to have a tuna tank again, but it's going to be the pygmy sunfish.
You could call it the Funkin' Sunfish.
Oh, that's good. Funkin' Sunfish.
Just saying. You know, I got to start charging for this stuff.
Yeah. I think the 3 of us, really, we can just – I think we can just start a kayak brand right now.
That's right.
Chris, are you in? We got to have a launch project.
He'll be our new our first pro staff.
Yeah. Who was it that launched Bro Staff? It was one of the companies. They're like, forget Pro Staff. This is Bro Staff.
Bro Staff, yeah.
Yeah, I did do that. I can't remember.
Somebody did that.
I forget who it was. I remember seeing it, though. That's hilarious, man. Well, we're winding down to the hour, man. We'll give you the floor. Any shout-outs, thank yous, anything like that, man? Anything exciting coming up that you want to share, man? It's all yours, bro.
Man, I just want to – I mean, I obviously want to give a shout-out to Jackson because they've believed in me and given me the opportunity to – you know, it's like you show up and you're like, hey, I want to do something. And you're like, what can you do? You're like, I don't know. I can grow a beard. I can do that. Like, you guys,
I'm pretty good at that.
And, you know, for them to just go, hey, grab a camera and point it over there. And if you can figure that out, we might give you money eventually. So, no, a big shout out to them for just like giving me the opportunity to grow with them as a brand. And also a big shout out to them to take this opportunity right now in the last year or so and take a hard look at who Jackson Kayak is and how we can, you know, continue to be a brand that's going to be, you know, in the conversation when you're looking for a fishing kayak or, you know, want to get out on the water, period, for that matter. And so it's been awesome to see over the past years the internal stuff is happening. And I think now everyone outwardly is going to start seeing those changes that have been implemented as it kind of grows out from inside. Cause I mean, you know, we've revamped the whole thing has been revamped and I think everyone's excited about it. And now that's starting to leak over into the team and it's going to leak out into the world. And Whitewater's already been able to accomplish that with the launch of the Antics 2.0. And so there's going to be some great things coming out and I'm super excited about the opportunity to be, you know, kind of a real big part of that and to be helping. I got to read Chris's comment here. Oh, well, thank you, Chris. I thought it was going to be a pygmy sunfish. I was like waiting. I'm like, there's got to be something about a pygmy sunfish. No, thanks. I mean, and that's the other thing. I want to give a big shout out to the team. Today, I have been overwhelmed with messages, thank yous, personal messages. I've tried to go through and thank everyone individually. And at some point, I'm just like, holy crap, I didn't even know. Like, it's just awesome because it does kind of give you a hint that you have like had a positive impact. And that's always been the goal, right? Is to is to influence someone in a positive way and not bring people down and try to, move the needle, if you will, and bring people to this sport. And it's really because I'm passionate about it. And there's times throughout the years where you're like, maybe I just don't need to be, doing this anymore. And so I want to thank, my wife and my support group, my family and stuff for just going, hey, this is, you need to go after this like this. You obviously love it. And so I've been given that opportunity. I've got a lot of brands that I work with that, I'd like, basically it's like say, thank my sponsors, but I mean, you can't do it without some of these guys. And it's more than just sponsors. I've known Andrew from Bending Branches personally that for years. I've known David from NRS for years. And I've got a great rod sponsor with Bill Batson Enterprises. I mean, these guys have helped me, take that next step. Luther from Yak Attack. I mean, I could go on and on about all the companies that I've been fortunate to work with, and they've given me opportunities to do things and to be able to make a living in this great like industry. And so just thanks for all of them, for believing in me or pushing me or helping me when I needed it and giving me those opportunities, man. Like it is a community, and without that community, like I wouldn't be doing this.
I hear you, man. I think it's pretty easy to say that you've definitely made an impact on the industry in one way or another, man. Just seeing, all the kind words after the announcement dropped today and things like that. But, I mean, things you've done in the past as well, man. So don't sell yourself short, brother. I mean, you're doing good stuff, and we know you'll continue to do awesome stuff. So
yeah, I appreciate that, guys. And I appreciate you guys having me on. Man.
Huge congrats, man. Yeah, absolutely, man. Anytime. When you got some juice to spill on the new designs that you've been working on, just let us know, man.
That'll definitely happen. It's going to take some time. We want to make sure that I'm telling you right now, like what we've got in the works and the plans. And again, it's plans. It's taking a step back and going back to the drawing board and really going like almost putting blinders on and like let's not even worry about what everyone else is doing. Let's do Jackson Kayak and So it's going to take a little bit of time, but we've got the right people involved, and the team is very involved and going to continue to be very involved as we move forward. And I think it's going to really show. I'm excited about it.
I love it, man. Love it, brother. Thanks for joining us tonight. Real quick, guys and gals, before we kill this thing off, we talked about it at the beginning of the broadcast. We got a little meetup going down in Tennessee on Dale Hollow.
Is that what that was?
Yeah. Dale Hollow. There's lodging. They are out of cabins. They got rooms in luxury houseboats that you can rent out for $50 a night. There's plenty of room. We're going to have barbecue and a bonfire on Saturday night. Love to have you guys. We're going to limit it down, though. So if you want to call and make reservations, we're going to post this up on the Paddle and Fin podcast Facebook page with all the info, and look forward to seeing some of you guys down there.
What's the date again? I don't see it.
It's October 16th through the 18th. So a little over a month away. So
you need to come?
Well, I mean, it's definitely always a thought. That is the day after my 15-year wedding anniversary, so it's possible that I could sneak away.
Celebrate the anniversary and then
there you go, man. Get one of the rooms, bring the wife, and then slip out in the morning.
She's like, why are I got the kids and I'm just not there.
just
I think that's pretty much what we did when we were at Steve's house. Like at 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah, there ain't nobody up at 3. Well, except Ashley.
Yeah, no, I think she was like cooking breakfast. I don't know, dude. Like it's
yeah. Like I'm telling you what, like out of everyone's wives I've ever met, his like Ashley is just so awesome. I mean,
she's letting him watch your show from the delivery room.
Yeah, so. That's right.
Congrats again to Steve and Ashley Carroll on their new baby. Very cool. All right, guys and gals, Until next time, tight line.